The Sentinel is known to be reliable, fearless, disciplined, consistent, courageous, motivated, and skillful.
So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances.
All these qualities start from the mind. Your mind can be your worst enemy or your most powerful weapon.
The world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
Is this the dagger?
Learn how to achieve greatness and tap into the Sentinel mindset.
The following podcast was recorded live in Tucson, Arizona at the League of Executive Protection Specialists, Hard Skill Intensive. We were the honored guests of Byron Rodgers and his team. We hope that you enjoyed today's podcast, but we apologize for some wind. We were 50 feet in the air overlooking this incredible training facility. We hope you enjoy some of the material as we roll it out in the next couple of weeks. For the full experience, we highly recommend checking out the videos on our Instagram as well as our YouTube page. Enjoy, everyone.
All right, now listen, Byron, as you know, we are your fellow Canadians, okay?
Yeah, much love.
And one of the things that we've heard from a lot of people in the Canadian world that basically, look at EP, they look at it as like, okay, you can do your couple of days of training, you're good to go.
Yeah.
There's some people that may look at this training, these hard skills that we see today, and be like, what is the application? What's the application? I mean, do I really need to have this driving in a safe country like Canada? I mean, that could be the notion, but the reality is, this could happen anywhere.
Absolutely it can happen anywhere. I've been in 3 different engagements where I've had to make contact with another vehicle. 2 of those scenarios happened in the United States, right? So, granted, I've worked in over 70 different countries, but 2 of the times I had to go hands-on and had to move and actually choose for my safety and the safety of everyone involved to make contact with a vehicle and hit a vehicle with my vehicle was, in a first world country, so there's that thought, but to just zoom out a bit, to elevate our thinking, right, as we're up here.
That's right.
And this
and we are in a beautiful lookout point right now.
Yes, sir. Looking over the whole facility.
Yeah.
I don't have a crystal ball. We assess risk for principals, clients, and then we implement security details that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to protect these humans, millions of dollars to protect these people, right? So to me, since I don't have a crystal ball, I want to make sure that my teams, I love the people that work for me and I love the people I've been brought on to protect. I am not gonna be found wanting as an agent with the skills that I can bring to the table, as an employer with the skills that my teams can bring to the table. The clients and principals and shareholders, they don't know any better. They don't know what you're really capable of. And so for me and for a lot of the really high level companies, and just the way I think a real true protector would look at it is, let's make sure we can handle everything from A to Z, because you don't know. I've got clients that are just great people. They're like, hey, I want to go on a missions trip to Africa.
Yes.
I want to go see, a church that we maybe are planting, or a humanitarian operation we're doing out there. And I want to go see the facility in the Philippines, in Africa. I've had these scenarios. I've been in these scenarios. Every other op is in a first world country. Now we're going to the Congo. So, and they're going to look at you and expect you to know what to do as the agent.
This is perfect right now.
Mm-hmm.
We, as a security agency in Canada, get solicited for executive protection quite a bit.
Right.
And it's either to do it directly with the talent or the VIP, or to be a support to their team. How easy is it for someone like yourself, as an experienced executive protection agent, to be able to identify somebody that doesn't know what they're doing on that level when they come and join your team, or as a support, or even as the client? If a client is used to always getting a certain level of protection,
right,
and then they go somewhere and someone doesn't have that, how easy it is to identify that person as a weak link?
It's extremely easy. It's just like if we go to the shooting range, when we go to the range and everyone squares up and gets ready to do what they do, first you're going to start feeling the anxiety in their body.
Right.
Before they even do anything. The second they touch that weapon, I'm going to know that guy doesn't know what he's doing. That guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's not intimate
So
with
their
his
body
firearm.
language
The
is an
second
easy tell.
they're in seconds. And even if the client doesn't understand the principles and the tactics, what's going to happen is they're going to pick up on the anxiety, of everyone else around you being in flow, looking natural, moving, covering, blocking, throwing doors, checking hallways as they walk by. And then that one guy who's just kind of like clunky and like trying to, and not knowing what to do, that
Right.
one guy who's posing really. And
Right.
doesn't mean he's a bad guy, but it does mean that he doesn't really understand the nuances of protecting in that fluid environment.
And you know what? Yes, go on.
The other part of that is being identified as that is a very big risk. But what I really believe is an even bigger risk is the reality that you have many teams out there that they really haven't been. When's the last time they went to the range?
Right.
When's the last time they actually went to the dojo? When's the last time they really went and got out on the track and got after it and did any hard skills? When's the last time they did medical?
Right.
And they really don't know what they're doing, but they really know what they're doing for that principal's life in terms of the flow of that life and how to make it look good and smooth and run smooth. But do they know what they're doing if anything starts to happen in those competencies, those hard skill competencies that we have?
Okay. Listen, man, this is powerful stuff because you know what? This industry, as much as it has some amazing agents,
Right.
it also has a lot of posers.
Right.
People that basically have been in the game and they feel, you know what? I can just blend in. I just got to wear my suit.
Yeah.
I just got to look the part.
Nothing's happened, so I must be good at what I'm doing.
That's right. But unless you've been tested,
Right.
you're not going to know what your threshold is.
100%.
So this is to me, like, again, when I see stuff like this, it really is continually opening up my eyes of just how much the learning curve there is. And Byron, I heard you say this today. You're learning all the time.
All the time.
And we're always evolving. If anybody says I know it all, you don't.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place to be.
100%. You got to lay yourself up, man, and be a better version of yourself over and over and over again. And I'm seeing that,
Right.
just how much there is to be all well-rounded. And it's not just about doing it one time. You got to keep doing it, man. You got to hone your craft.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a
man.
lifestyle. This is what we do when we're not on the job is what makes us prepares us to perform for the worst day on the job.
That's right.
And that's the game. And I with the posing issue, and it's not always a malicious thing. It's just one of those things. You've been in the industry for 5-10 years. You've got some equity in the game. You're making money. Maybe you just got in the industry, right? And you got in a good contract and you're working. I run an in-doc to get on my teams. And I literally heard this the other day. I brought a guy in, and it's another weird little phenomenon we have taking place where I got military guys at the in-doc. It's a tryout, right? I've got law enforcement guys at the tryout. I've got civilian guys at the tryout. Military guys walk in, and they're like, yeah, I'm military. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to pass the tryout. And I'm like, all right, cool, solid. And I'm not asking these guys to turn water into wine. Basic law enforcement level quals, federal quals, military quals, basic pistol quals, medical, certain little things like that, basic competencies, right? Police officer dudes do okay. Military dudes, do okay, right? But then who ends up winning? Everyone's meeting each other. The civilian guy, he's kind of humble. He's a little bit awkward. He's like, yeah, I don't have a cool background. I just train I train a little bit. And who ends up performing the best? The civilian guy.
Right.
Because the military and law enforcement guys, whom I'm a part of, I'm a military guy, and I did this when I got out. They rest on their laurels and they believe that, because I went to war twice, I can still get down and I'll just smoke check this qual.
Right.
Now imagine if you dial that up to the reality of them actually running into an attack, a basic attack, force on force, a sophisticated attack. There's a high probability that you're going to be a casualty, right? Because you're once upon a time guy in it. And there's a lot of once upon a time guying going on in our industry. And so what we want to create is a safe place for you to come and see what your threshold is, expose your weaknesses, expose your deficiencies in a safe place amongst people who are from the warrior culture.
Yes.
That understand that love you. Every drop of blood you bleed, we want to honor you for every drip of sweat out here, because this is where you really get made. Then you go back into your career with confidence, experience with yourself, and that replaces arrogance, because now you know what you're capable of. Not you guess, not you did it 5-10 years ago. You know what you're capable of, and you're in integrity with yourself, principals, clients, shareholders, and those who depend on you to protect them.
Now, I know you said earlier to the group, you were talking about that look at this as if you're almost like a scout is watching you to see how you maneuver.
Yeah.
That's so important because a lot of times, even for us back home in Toronto, when we're training our people, we are observing what they are doing to see how they're going to maneuver in the real world, in the actual environments. And that's key here. If you're going to step into a high threshold training environment and you're not going to give it your all, sure, yeah, you paid your money. At the end of the day, Brian, you can just walk away and say whatever. But at the end of the day, if you really want to be part of something, you got to give it your all, man.
100%.
And at the end of the day, you're going to be able to see that and say, you know what? Look what this guy's doing.
Yeah.
I want that guy on my team right now. His mentality is different. His mindset has shifted. He is a protector.
Right.
And that's what I love about what you said, because you're actively looking at that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you can see the way they're going to perform because what they're doing is they're facing these challenges.
Right.
And I want to see how they're going to deal with the challenges. I told them this morning when we did our PT, our physical fitness stuff, I was like, look, you're going to be getting tested. You're going to be doing all this stuff. You're going to get, some of you might get high test scores. But what we're about to do right now is we're going to look inside your heart.
Right.
We're going to look inside of who you really, truly are behind the veil. Because what we're going to do now is going to be difficult. And we're going to see what you're made of. And I don't aim to, break these dudes off before the training day. But I do aim to push them and see the character that they've worked on. My goal, if I ever get engaged, I want that enemy to face a man who's died 1,000 deaths in training. Okay, I want him to face a man who's sacrificed 1,000 weaker versions, at least 1,000 weaker versions of himself.
Wow.
So when we tie up, when we link up and we touch shields in combat, I want him to feel the weight and the momentum of somebody who has been doing the work. And so that's what I'm looking for out there. And for that tryout, for that audition, for that time of assessment, it's about an assessment of the heart. We're going to sit down. You got to pass your medical tests. You got to pass all the tests. But this place is designed to create warriors.
It's designed to put you to the test.
Yes, sir.
You come in one way, you leave another.
And it's all love. It's a whole warrior love language subculture that I think our industry has been missing.
Right.
And I think that maybe I was raised in between the Marine Corps and combat and all the things that happened to me. I think maybe those things really helped me understand, because when I got to the fleet, it wasn't a game. We're going to war. You can die if you don't do this right.
Yes.
And then I got out and I stayed with that culture, and it's just an honor to have kept that sacred, and then now be able to expose these guys, who may or may not be coming from that culture, to the seriousness and the sacredness of all that stuff.
It's amazing, man. It's so amazing. It's amazing. I always, when I see you talk, to these attendees, and even seeing, I forgot his name.
Rick,
sorry.
Rick is amazing.
You guys have like a fatherly approach to this.
I'm glad you picked up on
And
that.
I love that, because to me, like, just like a father and a son relationship where he wants his son to basically be that.
Rise up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Rise up. That is what I picked up 15 seconds coming in.
Yeah.
15 seconds coming into that.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that. Because you could do the other opposite. You can do the opposite end.
Yeah.
Soldier, stand down and all
Yeah,
this and rip the guy
ego
apart.
thing, yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all growing, right? So sometimes that might be the right message, but the way that you guys approach it, I love it.
100%. No, thank you. I'm glad you picked up on that, because it is like, it's like, I don't know, faithful are with the wounds of a friend. It's like, it's really that, like, it's that love language. Like, man, like if I be completely honest with you, man, I almost got a little choked up, man.
Yeah.
Because we're out there this morning and we're hammering. And
Yes.
and I told these, I threw down a tall order to them this morning. We're going to go this far. And I wanted to see if anybody would flinch, and I wanted to see and it was stone cold poker faces out there. And I was like, outstanding.
Right.
And then we commenced it. And some of these guys, the older gentlemen have injuries. They've lived whole entire lives, retired, all this stuff, but got focused, they got after it, and they started doing what they could do, you know?
Yeah.
And then we get downrange with the workout, and, you know, there's one of the gentlemen's got an injury, and he's just doing the best he can. And you could just tell, you could feel like his light was a little bit, like dimming, you know what I mean? Like he was kind of, and you got all these young guys around him, you know, pushing, pulling,
Yeah.
you know, and he was just kind of like getting down on himself. And I just walked up to him and I was like, good job, brother. And I like just gave him, I wasn't even thinking. I was just, you know, we're out here sweating. This is the most honorable, amazing thing for us to do, right? So I just like walked by him and I gave him some encouragement. I don't even remember what I said. Comes up to me later on and he's like, hey, man. He's like, thank you for that encouragement. It really meant a lot to me.
Amazing.
And when you see that look in his eyes, you know, and it's like, there's something to be said for doing the best you can with what you have.
That's right.
You know, it's like the widow's mite. It's the most sacred thing you can offer.
Right.
You know, and when I saw that he was really doing that, it just touched me in a special way. Me and him almost like cried together for 2 seconds, and I was like, and I just talked to him, and I was like, this is what it's all about, man.
That's it, man.
I've never been the biggest, the baddest, the best. All I've done is given the best I have on that altar of progress, and that's what I saw you doing this morning, and that's what I want to honor and respect, and that's what I love, man.
The altar of progress.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
So it's been beautiful. These guys will be like brother warriors when they get out of here.
100%, man. Well, I think that's the wind telling us, fly away.
Oh.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.